Hey folks, David Stewart here. It's time for another Thinking Thursday. Today, it's not a philosophical concept or a fallacy. It is, I guess, a way of thinking about decisions that uses a dimension of optionality. And this is thinking not about pros and cons or costs and benefits, so much as investments and potential outcomes from those investments, both in terms of likelihood and impact, because those things matter. The impact really matters. I will give you an example to illustrate what I'm talking about. Let's say you're going to make a YouTube video. A YouTube video has an investment, not just the camera or microphone or lights and stuff like that, but it has a time investment. You're going to be losing time when you make a YouTube video that you could be doing something else with that may make you money or may be more enjoyable than making a YouTube video. So you're investing time. Now, what are the potential payoffs from that investment? What are the options? Well, no one could watch the video, and then you lose your time investment. And indeed, I have lots of videos that have very low view counts. Or you could have a fair number of people watch the video, and maybe you feel like your investment's about even. But there's also the potential for many people to watch it, for it to go viral, and for you to have 100,000 views, 1 million views for a video. And at that point, the investment of your time relative to the payoff of like 1 million views is tremendous. And so when you look at the investment of time to make a YouTube video, you realize if you take into account the impact of the low likelihood, even though going viral is pretty much 0%, the potential of going viral has an ability to pay for that investment. Not just that investment, but all the other videos that you make. So if you make 100 videos, and one of them goes viral, that one video that went viral will actually pay for all the others that didn't go viral. This is something I've discovered on my channel big time. It's like I make a video on Last Jedi and it gets 200,000 views. Those 200,000 views end up paying for basically all the videos that I make that get 500 views. And I have 36,000 subscribers right now, but a typical video only gets 1,000 to 3,000 views, which is not very much, right? That's a small fraction. And it's not that different for bigger channels, by the way. If you have 500,000 subscribers, maybe you get 50,000 views for a video, maybe 100,000, and you're doing really good. But it's a fraction of your audience. Most of your subscribers aren't going to watch every video, or they're inactive, things like that. So you can't necessarily in YouTube count on your subscriber count automatically generating some set amount of revenue. The revenue is highly variable, and it's variable depending on whether or not you can make a video that really explodes beyond your subscriber count. So 200,000 views, obviously only a small fraction of the people who've watched those very popular videos have actually bothered to subscribe or stick around and continue watching videos like this. Nevertheless, the options on it are quite good. The optionality is good. You can also think about this kind of in reverse, like what's the potential downside? Is there big potential downside? Let's say that you're going to play Russian roulette. If you're playing Russian roulette, you have an 80% chance of winning, right? If you put one bullet in 6 cylinders and spin it, you have a 5/6 chance, which is I think a little bit higher than 80%. But you have a 1/6 chance of being shot and 5/6 chance of not being shot. So the way a lot of, I don't know what to call them, people who talk about probability would say 80% chance of winning, well, that's a great deal. You got to do that. Or 80% is really good. The problem is, what's the impact if you don't win? What's the impact of that rare event? In this case, it's death. And you can think about this Russian roulette example with lots of other things that involve risk. Driving a motorcycle is a really good example. If I'm driving a motorcycle or I'm riding a motorcycle, what's my likelihood of getting into an accident, of getting into a collision? Maybe it's lower than it is in a car, but it's not 0. Now, the impact of me crashing in a motorcycle is tremendous. It'll destroy your body, break your bones, potentially kill you. So the potential risk, the impact of the risk, even though the risk is low, 0.1% when you go out the door, or even lower. Maybe the risk is infinitesimally low. The impact is so high, it's actually a bad idea to ride a motorcycle. And I don't ride one. That's one of the reasons. In fact, one of my wife's friends died in a motorcycle accident. She's like, "You're forbidden from riding motorcycles." I'm like, I've already thought about this, and I'm not going to ride them. Now, if I have even a little bit higher chance of being in a collision in my truck, Well, if my truck crashes, especially the way I drive, the speed I drive, the roads that I drive on, I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to get hurt crashing my car at 50 miles an hour. I mean, I might get hurt, but I'm not going to die. And most of the time, I'm not even driving that fast because I'm driving country roads and neighborhood roads. But crashing your motorcycle, even at like 30 miles an hour, can be deadly, right? And a lot of motorcycles, if you're crashing above 50 miles an hour, it's like game over, So the risk of me dying is also infinitesimally lower, even if the risk of being in a collision is the same or higher than it is in a motorcycle. And I find that that's a useful way of thinking about things. And you could think about this with almost anything, right? This is a point that people make about, entering into marriage, right? The risk of marriage, or why you need to be very careful about who you marry, because getting a divorce is very expensive. Not just that it's very expensive, it has the potential to wipe out all of the wealth that you've built while you're married. Once you go through the family court system and you've paid all the lawyers, you could end up completely destitute. Both sides can end up losing basically all of their wealth due to the way that family courts work. So the potential ruin involved in it is enough to say, well, I need to be at least very, very cautious about who I'm going to marry, because even though the risk of divorce is high, it's not just the risk, it's the impact. The potential impact of divorce is very, very significant on people, which is why it's something that you generally want to avoid. And then there's more impacts besides fiscal ones, but that's just the one that came to mind. You can think of this in terms of like going to college, right? If you're going to go to college for 4 years, what's the potential outcome? Does it change your potential life outcomes? And if the answer is no, what's the investment? 4 years of your time and effort to get a very small possible increase in what you're going to do, and not a big increase in impact. It's not like going to college will make you potentially a billionaire any more than dropping out of college would. And there's a whole bunch of billionaires that dropped out of college. I'm not saying that dropping out of college will make you a billionaire, obviously, but clearly finishing a college degree does not for a billionaire make. So lots of these things, when you start thinking about the decisions in terms of the potential variability of outcomes and the likelihood, it changes the way that you think about things. And so it's changed the way that I think about lots of different investments. If you're investing in something that makes money, let's say it makes money 9/10 of the time, you're like, 11 out of our last 12 months we've been profitable. Well, how much did you lose in the month that you weren't profitable? You find often in some cases the loss in the unprofitable month for a company wipes out all of the gains for those 11 months, which means that the option is bad. So the initial investment has the potential to be worthless, for you to lose all of it, whereas the gain might be actually very, very small. So that tends to be, for me, I want to make decisions that have, a small investment but a big potential payoff. That's the best thing that you could do. It's like the lottery, only you have a better likelihood of winning it. That's what you want. Anyway, so thanks so much for watching. Leave me your thoughts down below about some of your decisions with this sorts of thing, and how you go about making those decisions. And I'll see you guys next time.